Never borrow money from someone who smiles while they pick your pocket. I was elbow deep in river clay, shaping a new line of ceramic mugs for my little studio in Hood River, when my phone buzzed against the wheel. One notification from the bank. Balance, 3 cents. 6 figures gone between the time I'd kissed my dog goodnight and the time I scraped breakfast oatmeal off the stove. I laughed, actually laughed, because the alternative was screaming in a room full of wet clay. 200 miles away, at the old family vineyard in Dundee, my brother-in-law Theo raised a glass of my own wine and toasted the table. Turns out Rowan's been hoarding like a dragon. We just helped redistribute the treasure. He winked at my sister Ivy like it was an inside joke. Everyone else studied their plates. My name is Rowan Hale. I learned the weight of $1 before I learned the weight of a grief. Our parents died in a small plane crash when I was 29, leaving Ivy and me the vineyard rose, a crumbling tasting room, and a trust that smelled like wet earth and second chances. I rebuilt the tasting room into moss and ember pottery. Ivy married Theo, a man who could sell sunscreen in a rainstorm and still convince you he'd invented the clouds. The harvest weekend was billed as healing. I drove up with 2 crates of new glazes and the stubborn belief that wine and blood could still mix without poisoning each other. My cousin Jude met me on the gravel with 1 raised eyebrow and 0 words. Inside, Theo's voice carried over the jazz like a cracked bell. Friday night I left my tablet charging on the nightstand. Saturday morning the angle was wrong. The screen still faintly warm, the search history scrubbed so clean it glowed. I felt the first cold drip of dread but chalked it up to too much Pinot and not enough sleep. Sunday, the bank called while I was elbow deep in grape skins. Ma'am, multiple 6-figure transfers left your accounts at 3:12 a.m. from an IP located at your current GPS coordinates. I dropped the pruning shears. Purple juice ran down my wrists like blood. I walked into the barrel room where everyone was pretending to taste futures. Someone moved every penny I have. Silence thick enough to choke on. Theo kept swirling his glass, amused. Ivy went the color of Chardonnay left too long in the sun. I looked at Theo. You touched my tablet. He laughed rich and round. Careful, Rowan. Accusations are like tannins. Hard to get out of the finish. Then open your banking app, I said. Right now. He lifted both hands, innocent as a fox in a henhouse giveaway. Pregnancy cravings are expensive. Ivy's having twins. You weren't using it. Ivy made a small wounded sound. Theo squeezed her shoulder hard enough to leave fingerprints. Something in me clicked shut, like the kiln reaching temperature. I smiled for the first time all weekend. Cool. Then you'll love what happens next. He thought I was bluffing. He always thought everyone was bluffing. What he didn't know, after a stalker ex-customer doxed my address last year, I'd installed a hidden app that live-streamed any unauthorized login attempts to a private server, complete with 4K facial recognition and geofencing alerts. At 3:07 a.m. it had captured Theo in glorious detail, barefoot in my room, whispering "Come to Papa," as he rerouted my life's work into crypto wallets registered to his dead uncle's name. I turned my phone around so the whole room could see the frozen image of his greedy, grinning face bathed in blue light. Uncle Cal blocked the doorway before Theo could sprint. Ivy stepped away from her husband like he'd turned into something poisonous. She didn't cry. She looked relieved. Deputies arrived before the next course was served. Last weekend we fired the kiln at 2,300 degrees and opened every door of the tasting room to let the heat escape into the night. The new mugs came out the color of stormlit sky, strong enough to hold anything life pours into them. Theo sends letters from county jail begging for forgiveness and commissary cash. I use them as kiln stilts. Some people think family is forever. Turns out some chains are just clay, wet enough to break the moment you decide you're done being shaped by the wrong hands.